I've done nothing wrong. Also, I don't know how to play this. This is my brother's. So by now you've probably at least heard of the terrible ukulele song apology that has been going viral. It was made by Miranda Sings, or her real name Colleen Ballinger, where she is apologizing, but not really. She's mostly just saying, oh, everyone's being toxic towards me. There's a bunch of misinformation. I don't usually cover what I assumed was drama. I thought this was, oh, this is just silly drama, whatever, who cares. But the allegations here are very credible and also very serious. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Miranda Sings is a YouTube channel. Not my cup of tea. I don't really like it. I don't like the silliness. I don't like the lipstick. I know I don't want to say like she's racist, but it does remind me of like kind of minstrel shows. It's very bizarre. It's never appealed to me basically, but it's appealed to a bunch of people. She is very successful. She has, I believe, like 2 Netflix movies. So she clearly has her own demographic of people who are, very infatuated with her. She has millions of subscribers, and this infatuation is where these allegations are stemming from. She has a bunch of like super fans on like Twitter. They were gathered to basically be like a group chat or like her inner circle of like teenagers. Very important to distinguish. Just about all these, it's about 20 people, teenagers under the age of 18. The average age range was set 13 to 17. I'm not going to go through every single thing because it would take forever. If you are interested, because there are again very credible, very serious allegations, I'm just going to go through the very short of it. The H3 podcast did about an hour and a half deep dive into it. They had one of the main people, Adam McIntyre, was in chat, kind of not correcting really, but just adding a bit more context, kind of guiding the conversation as it was going. So the short of it is basically the people in this group chat, Colleen's Weenies. That is a weird name for a group chat, in my opinion. And that's like the first red flag. I mean, these are again 13 to 17-year-olds. Not the worst group chat name either. There's a much worse one that we will speak about later. But essentially, the point of this group chat was just for Colleen to connect basically on a more personal level with these teenagers. There's a ton of allegations that went through. In an effort to keep things kind of short, I just want to go over 3 pretty damning ones from ranging severities. The first one being that she would talk to the kids about like her divorce and basically lie to them about the way her ex-husband or currently divorcee husband was treating her, riling up the kids. These children, also an important context is that a lot of them had like Twitter accounts, like, those big stan accounts that would stan her, and they would just be able to harass basically because they had thousands of followers themselves. It's not really the kids' fault. They don't really understand what they're doing. It's like you have 1,000 followers, 10,000, a million followers on like Twitter, and it's like you're 13. You don't like. It's not. I don't think it's the kid's fault for like harassing anyone. I think the onus ultimately falls on Colleen because she's the one who is firstly giving them misinformation and almost encouraging them to do it. One of the big things about this is that because a lot of these kids had like their own social handles and stuff like that, she was basically able to influence them and what they might say. Another one that was getting more towards the inappropriate stuff was when Adam, which is again one of the main players in this thing that started with the allegations, said one day in the group chat like, oh, my ass looks so great. Mind you, he's a minor at this point still. And then Colleen was like, oh really, send pics. And I mean, that's such an inappropriate thing to ask like a child. Like, if Adam's mom, big player in this, the MVP of this story really, she was taking care of her kid. She got into a fight with Colleen, and she just really defended Adam, I think. She was being a responsible mother, as responsible as one could be in the age of the internet. I'm sure, she was, if she would have been more on top of it, she would have been able to realize, the predation before it had happened. But ultimately, I think she was still like incredibly responsible. And then the last thing about the Kalini Weenies chat is the tampon incident. Essentially, there was an in joke about them like holding like tampons in their mouth and like biting onto them. Incredibly bizarre thing. It almost You know, again, I don't want to put stuff that isn't on her, but it does kind of seem like some kind of like weird fetish thing. I don't understand. Just basically asking like the children, again, their children, to put like tampons in their mouth and kind of just play with them, and take photos of themselves and like upload it. It's very bizarre. At the very least, it's an incredibly like humiliating position to be in, and you know the kids adore her, so they're just going to like follow anyway. But as she is, I believe, 30 to 33 when like this group chat is, so no, full grown adult. Incredible like misuse of her platform, incredible misuse of her power as a content creator. She doesn't really understand the power imbalance. She sings about it in her song, but she was like, oh, I'm just being like a loser weird aunt instead of like being like a creepy person. And it's like, I think both can be true at the same time. There are, I think, family members that can be incredibly inappropriate to you, and that's still like, they are losers, but they're also like creeps, and you shouldn't talk to them. And as disturbing as these allegations are, it only gets really worse. So from Rolling Stone, Oliver, a former fan from Pennsylvania, says Colleen's motto of spreading happiness drew him into her fandom. Oliver, who was trans, identified as a girl at the time. But after joining in early 2018 and following Ballinger and her family on the site, a follow back from Ballinger's brother Trent quickly turned into constant communication. Messages reviewed by Rolling Stone show over a year of communication, with Trent complimenting Oliver's looks, asking him for photos, and telling him to text anytime. Anything we talk about stays between you and I, read one message. You would look good, preg, if you ever wanted children one day, read another. At the time, Oliver was 13 and Trent was 33. But this is like textbook grooming. I know like everyone likes to throw word around the word grooming, to the point that it's almost lost like definition. Just anyone who's like LGBT or like trans or whatever, it's like, oh, you're a groomer, you're a groomer, you're a groomer. But this is like actual textbook grooming. Like this is what they should be teaching parents. The texts, it's a lot more than just these two things. Again, the H3 podcast covered all of this stuff, so I will definitely be linking them in the description if you want to go check out and, you know, deep dive into it. But yeah, it goes on to just basically like, oh, delete the chats, or, you know, don't say this, don't say that, you would look so good in this, can I get a photo of you doing like this pose or whatever. It's severely messed up. And Trent has even admitted, I think, to her that he has a problem with like underage like women. This is the brother for this is Colleen's brother, and he has basically an infinite amount of like contact to like children, and that is incredibly scary, honestly. It's just the fact that he can basically speak to be like, oh yeah, you know, I'm Miranda's or Colleen's like brother or whatever. And just like because of that, he has like instant clout and like has access to like all these other like children. And it's incredibly dangerous. It's incredibly scary, and I think just makes this apology even worse. You know, I think the apology kind of had a Streisand effect, where a lot more people are aware of it now because of how terrible the apology is, but they're not super familiar with like the nitty gritty of everything. And honestly, the nitty gritty of it all is just incredibly messed up. This isn't the last one, and this is the last allegation that I want to focus on. Again, a multitude. I am just barely scratching the surface. This is from the H3. I couldn't really find the screenshots anywhere else, but they were able to compile everything. So they're a great resource for this. If you really want to like delve into the drama, I highly recommend it. So this is Corey, who's like Colleen's best friend. They are been like roommates for like basically most of their life or whatever. And they have their own separate chat with most of like the kids too, who are again underage. So here's a screenshot of him posting porn onto this chat, and then the first response is literally, I'm almost 18, I'm underage, and the rest of the kids beneath are saying, ill, like, what is this, like, this is so gross. And then there's another one of him also saying like, oh, you guys are my best friends, and like, I know I'm like a grown adult, but like you guys are so cool. And it's like, again, a complete exact definition of what like grooming is, of just like trying to tell, like, stroke these kids' egos and make them be like, oh, you're so cool, you're hanging out with like an adult, and like we're friends, and like we're cool with Colleen and all that. Just disgusting. This whole situation is so gross. So I mean, that's the main reason I'm making this video. You know, a lot of people are thinking that it's drama, but these allegations go really deep, in my opinion. and I hope that they're lawyering up, because honestly, like, damages should be rewarded to these kids because they've been groomed, really. It's really messed up. And it's just so cruel the way this woman just twists everything into be like, oh, this isn't really about like the allegations. This is just about toxicity. And like, you guys just want to see me fail. You guys aren't really interested in any of the truth. You guys just want to hate. And it's like, no, like, you've done criminal things. You're a criminal. Like, your friends are criminals. You guys have all been talking like super inappropriately to like underage children for years. This is incredibly like disgusting. I can't believe like you would just be like, oh, look at me with my little ukulele. Some final things: if you have, teenagers, tweenagers, or whatever, who are like super into it, like, just keep an eye on them. Make sure that they're not like in these situations, because Colleen got caught, you know, and it took a long time. The first allegations Adam made were before the pandemic had started, if I'm not mistaken. So it took a really long time for this reckoning to come. I'm pretty sure at one point Colleen thought she was gonna get away scot-free with all the terrible things she did, but everything seemed to eventually have caught up with her. But if you are, if you have anyone in your life, maybe little cousins, little siblings, anything like that, just keep an eye on them. Make sure you know more or less what they're into. You don't have to like monitor everything they do with like your eye, but just keep an eye on them. Make sure they're not anywhere they're not supposed to be. There's a lot of horror stories, of just kids getting groomed on like social media apps. If they have like things like Discord and stuff like that, keep an extra eye on them. Make sure they're not in any like weird servers where they can get like preyed on by like older people, like hiding anonymously behind like some profile picture. If there's any other updates to this, I will probably update. I've been wanting to do maybe like an update for like all the other stories I've passed, because there's been a lot of updates to them. Some of them not so much, but others, there was like another lawyer that got caught with the AI thing, believe it or not. So if there are any major updates, I might make a video following up on this. Otherwise, please take care of yourselves, and as always, have yourselves a damn good one. Peace.